Level 1, 40,000. You're both at the kitchen table. It's 9:14 p.m. The kids are asleep. Your laptop is open to the checking account. Your wife is next to you, not looking at the screen, looking at you. "Where did the $200 go?" she says. Not a question, a checkpoint. You don't remember, that's the problem. $40,000 combined, two people, one apartment, and neither of you can account for $200 without opening an app and scrolling. You scroll. A pharmacy charge, a late fee from a card you forgot about, a $6.99 subscription neither of you use anymore. Small leaks. At $40,000, small leaks are not small. They're the whole boat. She doesn't yell. That's almost worse. She just goes quiet and closes her side of the laptop a little, like she's protecting herself from the number. You used to talk about the future in this kitchen. Now you talk about overdraft fees. The conversation didn't get colder. It just got smaller. It shrank down to fit the account balance. You reach for her hand under the table. She lets you take it, but she doesn't squeeze back right away. That half-second delay is the whole marriage. At 40,000, love is still there. It's just tired. The first rule, at $40,000, money isn't the argument. Money's the room the argument happens in. Level 2, 70,000. Something shifted. Not dramatically. You both got small raises the same year, and somehow the math finally has a little room in it. You go to dinner without splitting the bill in your head before the food arrives. You don't check the account before you order the appetizer. Small thing. Feels enormous. But new tension shows up to replace the old one. Your friend Dana and her husband bought a house. You didn't. You're happy for her. You are. But you notice your wife goes quiet scrolling through the photos, and you know exactly what she's doing. She's doing the math you're both trying not to do out loud. "We're not behind," you say before she asks. "I didn't say we were," she says. But she was thinking it. You both were. At $70,000, you stop fighting about missing money and start negotiating about ambition. Whose career gets prioritized this year? Whose turn it is to take the risk? It's not about survival anymore. It's about direction, and direction is a harder fight than money ever was. The second rule, $70,000 doesn't buy peace. It buys the version of a fight where nobody's wrong, which somehow takes longer to finish. Level 3, $110,000. You bought the house. Not the dream one, the starter one. Popcorn ceiling, one bathroom, a yard the size of a napkin. You love it anyway. The mortgage is real now. So is the conversation you didn't expect to have this early. Whose name carries more weight in this marriage? You make more, not a lot more. Enough that it entered the room and sat down without being invited. She brings up a job offer in another city. Better title, better pay. You'd have to move, uproot the kids, restart both your networks. You say you'll think about it. You don't mean it the way she needs you to. 2 weeks later, she brings it up again, softer this time, testing if the door is actually open or if you just wanted the conversation to end. You realize you've been treating her ambition like a hypothetical instead of a real fork in your life. That's not a money problem. Money just made it visible. You say yes. Not because the math works perfectly, because you finally hear what she's actually asking, which was never about the job. The third rule, at $110,000, the money stops being the fight and starts being the mirror. It shows you exactly what you've been avoiding. Level 4, $180,000, two full incomes, both climbing. You move for her job. It worked. The new house has 2 bathrooms and a yard that isn't a napkin. You go to a dinner party. Another couple, Mike and Priya, similar income, similar life. Mike jokes about his new truck payment like it's nothing. Priya laughs a beat too late. You catch your wife catching it too. You don't say anything on the drive home. You don't have to. You both saw the same thing. A marriage performing fine in public while quietly renegotiating who owes what in private. You don't have that fight. Not because you're better than them. Because you had it 3 years ago, in a kitchen, over $200. At $180,000, the fights get quieter, but they don't disappear. They just move underground into things like division of labor, whose career gets the flexible schedule, who takes the call at 6 a.m. Money bought you options. It didn't buy you agreement on how to use them. The fourth rule, $180,000 doesn't end the negotiation. It just raises the stakes of getting it wrong. Level 5, $300,000. You hire a cleaner. Small thing, changes everything. An entire category of low-grade resentment just disappears from your house. You notice you argue less about chores and more about time. Whose calendar gets protected? Whose trip gets canceled first when work gets loud? The scarcity moved. It used to be dollars. Now it's minutes, and minutes don't compound the way money does. You can't save them for later. Your wife takes a sabbatical, 3 months, unpaid, something you couldn't have imagined at $70,000. You cover the gap without flinching. She comes back different, rested, a little more herself, and you realize the money didn't fix the marriage. It just removed one more excuse for not fixing it yourselves. A friend asks how you two never seem to fight about money. You almost laugh. You still fight. You just don't fight about groceries anymore. You fight about meaning, which is a much harder argument to win and a much better one to be having. The fifth rule. At $300,000, money stops being the subject and starts being the permission slip for the real conversations underneath it. Level 6. $600,000. The house is paid off faster than planned. The kids are in a good school. Nobody in this house has checked a bank balance out of fear in years. And yet, one night you catch her crying in the closet. Not about money, about her mother who's sick, and the guilt of being far away, financially able to fly out anytime. And somehow that makes the distance worse, not better. Money removed every practical excuse. What's left is just grief, uncushioned by anything you can buy. You hold her. You don't try to fix it because, for the first time in your marriage, there's nothing to fix with a transfer or a budget line. You just sit on the closet floor with her, and it's the closest you've felt to her in years. The sixth rule. At $600,000, money finally stops being able to hide the things that were never about money in the first place. Level 7. $200,000. Combined net worth crosses 7 figures on an ordinary Tuesday. Neither of you says anything about it out loud for 2 days. When you finally do, it's almost anticlimactic. We hit it, she says, holding her coffee, looking at the spreadsheet. You nod. Neither of you feels the way you thought you would. What you feel instead is protective. Of each other, of the quiet version of the life you built while nobody was watching. Mike and Priya divorced last year. Money wasn't the reason on paper. It was the reason underneath the reason. You reach for her hand at the counter the same way you did at that kitchen table 15 years ago, over $200. She squeezes back immediately this time, no delay. The seventh rule, the number never made the marriage and it just ran out of places to hide whatever the marriage actually was. Somewhere right now, a couple is sitting at a kitchen table at 9:14 p.m., scrolling an account, looking for $200. They think this argument is about the money. It's not. It never was. The marriage was always going to reveal itself. The money just decided how loudly.